Batman may be the protector of Gotham City, but he's certainly no angel. Whether he's abusing his young sidekicks or shooting his fiancee's dad, Bruce Wayne has done plenty of terrible things ever since his first comic book appearance. The Batman who debuted in Detective Comics number 27 may look like the honorable caped crusader we know today, but back in the day, he was sometimes more of an anti-hero than a hero. He used to kill people, and he did it a lot. One particularly gruesome death occurred in Bruce Wayne's first standalone comic, Batman number 1. In the story, Dr. Hugo Strange breaks out of prison and injects some escaped lunatics with a special drug, transforming them into 15-foot powerhouses. Thanks to their size, the gang of monsters is essentially bulletproof, so Batman has to resort to extreme measures to take them down. After shoving Strange out of a window and knocking him onto the rocks below, Batman boards the Batplane and mows down the monster's truck with a machine gun. After that, he takes out one of the survivors by throwing a rope around his neck and flying high into the air, strangling the man to death. That's bad enough on its own, but Batman's cavalier attitude towards the whole episode is particularly chilling. As he speeds away, the crook's lifeless body still dangling from the Batplane, he quips, "He's probably better off this way." Just because Batman does a terrible thing doesn't mean he likes it. Case in point, in Legends of the Dark Knight number 145, Batman finds the Joker bleeding to death in one of Ra's al Ghul's secret lairs. While Alfred declares this cause for celebration, Batman quickly explains that things aren't quite that simple. The Joker is the only person who knows what Ra's al Ghul is up to, so if Batman is going to stop the League of Assassins, he needs the Joker alive. Batman dunks Joker in one of Ra's al Ghul's life-restoring Lazarus pits, successfully reviving the Clown Prince of Crime. There's a twist though. While most people emerge from the Lazarus pit in a state of advanced psychosis, the Joker resurfaces completely sane. Plagued by guilt over his past misdeeds, the Joker helps Batman track down Ra's, and after that, it isn't long before Raz's plan is foiled for good. Unfortunately, the Joker's rehabilitation doesn't last. As the Lazarus Pit continues to work its magic, the Joker's insanity slowly returns, meaning that every murder he commits from that point forward is thanks to Batman. Sure, Batman saved the world, but there was almost certainly another solution. He's the world's greatest detective after all. If anyone could find Ra's al Ghul without the Joker's help, it would be him. Maybe Joker has a point when he says that he and Batman have a special connection.
I think you and I are destined to do this forever.
In The Dark Knight, Batman utilizes a massively invasive surveillance network in order to catch the Joker, and after the criminal mastermind is stopped, Lucius Fox destroys it for good. In the comics, Batman has a similar disregard for basic privacy, but it kicks off a chain of events that ends with millions dead. In the Identity Crisis storyline, Zatanna and a handful of other Justice Leaguers decide to rehabilitate some of the world's worst supervillains by wiping their minds with magic, changing their personalities and making them less dangerous. When Batman catches the rogue heroes in the act, they erase his memory too. Eventually, they come clean, but despite his comrades' honesty, Batman isn't pleased. In response to his friend's betrayal, he built a spy satellite called Brother Eye to monitor the other members of the Justice League. Predictably, this doesn't go well. Despite Batman's technical prowess, the satellite's artificial intelligence isn't nearly as secure as it should be, allowing Justice League International founder Maxwell Lord to take it over and use it to progress his own villainous goals. In the OMAC project, Batman and Wonder Woman manage to stop Maxwell Lord and Brother Eye, but not before Lord mind controls Superman and forces Wonder Woman to snap the villain's neck on live television. This inspires the Golden Age Superman and a few other survivors from Crisis on Infinite Earths to invade, which kicks off the line-wide crossover Infinite Crisis, an event that costs millions of people, including Superboy, their lives. Injustice: Gods Among Us might take place in an alternate reality, but Batman was breaking rules long before the timeline split and Superman went rogue. In Injustice: Gods Among Us Year 1, number 15, Superman and his cronies hack into Arkham Asylum with Cyborg's help and relocate Batman's rogues one by one to a secure secret prison. Batman tells Cyborg to stop opening the prison doors, and when Cyborg refuses to comply, Batman activates a computer virus that shuts him down completely. But how? Cyborg upgrades his firewalls constantly, and Batman shouldn't be able to get through his latest security updates. That's when he realizes that the Dark Knight has always had the upper hand. Batman uploaded the virus into Cyborg's system the first time they met, back when Cyborg was still a teenage athlete recovering from a traumatic injury. The malware has been lying dormant for years, waiting to be activated at just the right time. Even Killer Croc admits that's pretty evil.
Ha! Who's the freak now, Bats?
Before Batman and Cyborg get the chance to duke it out, they're forced to team up against an army of escaped mental patients that were released by Green Arrow and Harley Quinn. DC's Silver Age covers are famous for putting superhero sidekicks into outlandishly cruel situations, and World's Finest number 195 has one of the best. As Superman and Batman look on, Jimmy Olsen and Robin dig 2 graves, and while Superman acknowledges that he has a code against killing, a Tommy gun-wielding Batman brags that he's willing to do the job. Batman really means it too. Through a remarkably convoluted series of events, the Caped Crusader ends up disguised as a crime boss named Carl Lucas, but a bump on the head makes him start to believe that he really is the Mafia Don. As Lucas, Batman draws a gun and orders Jimmy and Robin to start digging. Thankfully, he snaps out of his funk after Robin gives a heartfelt plea to the man that he loves like a father. Of course, this being the Silver Age, that's hardly the end of things. Soon, the real Lucas arrives and tells Superman, who's undercover as a Mafia accomplice, to stop Batman and kill the 2 boys. Superman knocks out Batman, turns his heat vision on Robin and Jimmy, and gives Lucas a glass case containing the 2 sidekicks' hearts. It's all a ruse, of course. Superman replaces Jimmy and Robin with wax statues and molds replica hearts from the remnants with his super speed. However, Lucas's newfound trust in the Man of Steel gives the World's Finest team the time that they need to dismantle the gangster's operation and put the criminal behind bars. It was going to happen sooner or later. You can't send kids to fight psychopaths for over 40 years without something going wrong, and in A Death in the Family, Batman finally pays for years and years of child abuse. As always, it's really Robin who gets the short end of the stick. In the story's biggest moment, the Joker beats Jason Todd with a crowbar before trapping him inside a building with a ticking time bomb. The bomb goes off before Batman arrives, and Robin dies in the blast. Yes, Joker was the one who beat and killed the second Robin, but he never would have ended up in that situation in the first place if it wasn't for Batman's involvement. When Batman discovers that Jason's father was killed by Two-Face, he keeps it a secret, and when Jason learns the truth, he's understandably furious. From that moment on, Jason doesn't trust Batman, so when Jason's birth mother is kidnapped by the Joker, he disobeys Batman's orders and goes after the supervillain on his own. In the aftermath, Batman admits that Jason was too young and impulsive to be Robin, but that didn't stop him from putting the boy wonder in a domino mask anyway.
Jason.
Unfortunately, the Caped Crusader never seemed to learn from his mistakes. In 2013, an assassin killed Damian Wayne, and Tim Drake sacrificed his life to save Gotham City 3 years later. It's never a good idea to date Batman. While Bruce Wayne's superpowered partners like Catwoman and Wonder Woman have made it out of their relationships with him alive, his civilian love interests aren't quite as lucky. Just look at the sad story of Rachel Caspian, daughter of Gotham City's first masked crime fighter, the Reaper. During the Year 2 storyline, Bruce and Rachel fall in love, but things turn sour when Rachel's father, Judson, returns to Gotham and starts slaughtering criminals as the Reaper once again. When Batman tries to stop Judson, he falls victim to the Reaper's firearms and is beaten within an inch of his life. The defeat forces Batman to take drastic measures. Bruce retrieves the gun that killed his parents and enlists members of Gotham's underworld, including Joe Chill, the man who murdered Thomas and Martha Wayne, to take the Reaper down for good. But Batman has a secret plan. Once the Reaper is out of the picture, he is going to kill Chill and retire. With the end of his crime-fighting career in sight, Bruce proposes to Rachel and prepares for his final showdown with her father. It doesn't go according to plan. The Reaper wipes out Batman's criminal allies, killing Joe Chill before Batman can pull the trigger. Batman shoots the Reaper in the battle that follows, knocking off his mask and forcing him to the edge of an in-construction skyscraper. After Judson reveals his true identity and gives Bruce his blessing to carry on the Reaper's work, he falls off the ledge to his death. Batman swears off guns forever, but it's too late. Devastated, Rachel leaves Gotham City to become a nun, hoping to atone for her father's sins. Not only is Barbara Gordon, also known as Batgirl, young enough to be Batman's daughter, but her on-again, off-again relationship with Dick Grayson is one of DC Comics' longest-running romances. Batman knows this, and yet he decides to sleep with Babs anyway. The animated series Batman Beyond featured cameos from many classic Batman characters, but Nightwing, Dick's adult alter ego, never appeared. Batman Beyond 2.0 number 28 explains why. While Nightwing is fighting crime in Bloodhaven, Batman and Barbara have an affair that results in a pregnancy. Barbara asks Bruce not to tell Dick, but the hero comes clean a few days later. Dick doesn't take the news particularly well, and the two former allies come to blows. Even worse, while all of this is going on, Barbara takes to the streets and fights off a mugger. She wins, but her victory comes at a cost. Crime fighting puts too much stress on Babs' body, and while Bruce and Dick punch it out, Barbara miscarries in the middle of the street.
So I left, and never looked back. No, I don't hate him. I hate what he's become.
Today's Batman is a bit of a brute and a crappy father, but he's no bigot. In the 21st century, the Dark Knight condemns hatred in all its forms, but things were different in the 1940s. A good number of DC comics from the World War II era have aged very poorly, but Batman's racism in Detective Comics number 35 was a little extreme even by the standards of the time. Batman gets tangled up with Hindu cultists and a Chinese crime boss when an antiques collector named Weldon starts receiving death threats. It's not long before thieves break into Weldon's house and steal a rare ruby idol. Batman traces the robbery back to Sin Fang, a fence for stolen goods, and is just about to recover the statue when Fang's Hindu soldiers attack. That's when things get really ugly. Batman has little regard for the lives of the offensively drawn soldiers. When one of them rushes him, Batman grabs the man's wrist and hurls him right into his partner's scimitar. It turns out that both Fang and the cultists are actually white. Lennox, the explorer who stole the statue in the first place, faked his death and dressed up as Sin Fang in order to get the idol back from Weldon. He even hired so-called fake Hindus to cover his tracks. After Lennox's confession, Batman keeps his murder streak going by clocking Lennox in the head with the idol, knocking him out the window and splattering him on the sidewalk below. If being a killer wasn't bad enough, Batman is also a big fat liar. In the Batman the Animated Series episode, Mudslide, Batman says he's willing to help Clayface get better, but when he actually has a chance to cure the former actor, he instead shuts down the life-saving procedure and sends Clayface hurtling toward his apparent demise. In Mudslide, the creature formerly known as Matt Hagen has shacked up with Stella Bates, a doctor who's fallen in love with him despite his ever-shifting visage. The problem? He's literally falling apart.
It seems that Clayface is losing his integrity.
I wasn't aware that he ever had any to begin with.
I'm speaking in a physiological sense, Alfred.
However, Bates thinks she's found a cure. All Clayface needs to do is get inside Bruce Wayne's biomedical research facility and steal an isotope called MP40. So that's exactly what Clayface does. Nobody's hurt during the break-in, damage is minimal, and the isotope is the only thing stolen. The procedure is a success too, and before long, Clayface is on the road to recovery. Seemingly on principle though, Batman tracks Clayface down and tries to stop the operation. The two fight, and the battle ends when the rain mixes with Clayface's deteriorating body and washes him off the side of a cliff, seemingly killing him. The Dark Knight seems pretty upset, but considering that Clayface would have died anyway if Batman's plan had worked, his sorrow seems a bit hypocritical.